Hey, Fukawa here from Danganronpa AZ, and I'm here to talk to you about the 10 references from Danganronpa you might have missed. Now, fans of Danganronpa are not at all strangers to the sheer number of references that can be found in the games and the anime. I mean, 75% of what Monokuma says is a reference to something. So for this top 10 list, we're talking about things that don't appear in the dialogue, but rather appear in the game, and are things that couldn't be possibly messed up by translation. Starting at number 10, we've got Sonya Nevermind in Her Country of Nova Selek. Nova Selek was the bass guitarist and main lyricist for Nirvana other than Kurt Cobain. Her last name, Nevermind, is actually a reference to their 1991 album by the same name. And it was one of those things where you can see how elements of her personality that reflected that kind of rocker, grunge, come-as-you-are sort of feeling that Nirvana brings. Coming in at number 9, we've got Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward and The Final Dead Room. Now, it's no secret that Danganronpa was heavily influenced by the Zero Escape franchise. I mean, they reference it in the first game, and they have it in the titles of the trophies and all of that jazz. I mean, characters reference it in their speech, but the real kicker is the Final Dead Room in the second game, in which they reference the direct gameplay of Virtue's Last Reward. I mean, if you play the demo, it's pretty much head-on the same kind of stuff that you have to do, and the same convoluted puzzle-solving skills that you need, like the Othello puzzle. I mean, oh my gosh, never has a game made me hate Othello more than Danganronpa. So, at number 8, we've got Attack on Titan and the School Mode Blackboard. In the first game of Danganronpa, you can see when you're in school mode on the blackboard for the day counter, this image, which is obviously a reference to Attack on Titan. And the only reason I think anyone might have missed it is you're like me and you didn't read and you just wanted to keep making those little chippies pickaxe their way through so you can get the final trophy for the game. But I mean, Danganronpa came out at the height of Attack on Titan's anime's popularity, so it was a nice little cookie to hide in there. Alright, moving on to number 7. We've got From Dusk Till Dawn and Titty Typhoon. From Dusk Till Dawn is a vampire movie that is all about these individuals that stumble into a bar that happens to be a vampire cult, and the name of this bar was called the Titty Twister. So, in the second game of Danganronpa, they made the Titty Typhoon, which is set in the same desert setting, and I'm sitting there going through the dialogue, and my sibling's like, it's right there behind everyone's head, constantly there, you cannot escape the Titty Typhoon. So, moving on, we've got at number 6, Battle Royale, and pretty much everything in the entire series. Hunger Games was often criticized as having the same plotline as Battle Royale, which is about a high school class of freshmen from Japan being forced to kill each other, and only one person is allowed to escape. It took place on an island in the movie. Then you've also got the exploding collars that they have, which can be translated to the exploding wrist cuffs in the anime. And in the third game, another episode. The biggest thing that I saw a correlation was for Chihiro Fujisaki and Mimura Shinji, who were very different in personality, but very similar when it came to their function in the story. You have a tech genius using their laptop to hack into the main system of the entire killing game to take down the mastermind, and ends up sacrificing themselves in order to save the hero, and their kill code ends up corrupting the entire system. I mean, major differences is, of course, their personalities. Maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but the fact that they have the same plotline and they have a character that served the same function was kind of shocking to me just because it was so similar. But yeah, if you like Danganronpa, I highly suggest at least checking out the Battle Royale movie. It is on Netflix. So, moving on to number 5, we've got Children of the Corn and the Warriors of Hope. Oh my gosh, the parallels between these two could not be plainer. Just to give you a generic summary of Children of the Corn, you have a group of children that start a revolution to kill off all the adults in town. Once all the adults are dead, they've decided to make up all these rules that include killing yourself before you become an adult, and killing yourself if you do something that is an adult thing. Once this town has been set up, and in the process of all the horrible, terrible, awful things, 2 adults come into town and try to stop it all. Then, after realizing there's very little they can do to change the situation of the town, they try to leave with as little losses as they can. And at the center of all this madness is one child that claims to be magical, and claims to be able to make people just disappear. The main antagonist is very similar in the psychoticness and being Satan. Moving on! Coming in at number 4, we've got Persona 3 and Fukawa's Stun Gun. Now, this is one that I didn't catch at first, and it makes me so upset. The pose that Fukawa takes, that I take, when using my stun gun, is exactly the same as the pose from Persona 3. And the fact that it has a limited time frame, and within its use, the ability to summon another version of yourself, and that version of yourself having crazy hair and strangely accelerated abilities. Alright, moving on, we've got at number 3, Monet's Women of the Parasol Turned to the Left, and Jotaro's picture of Big Sis Junko in his room. Alright, I have to give the credit where credit is due. This is something that was pointed out by Tumblr user Monica Toa, and I would not have caught it otherwise. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Monet's work. I love the impressionist painting style of it all, but I did not realize that many of the pictures in Jotaro's rooms were actually references to classic art. He's got like 5 pictures in there that you can look at, and they're all pretty much Junko. Some of them more abstract than others, just because it's a tiny, tiny screen. Going to the number 2 on our list, and one I actually had to research rather extensively, is the story of the Little Black Sambo and Owada's execution. Now, the story of the Little Black Sambo is classical literature, but the main reference in it is that there were 4 tigers that chased each other around a tree until they melted into butter, which, as Falurello pointed out rather comically, there are quite a few tiger references when it comes to Owada in general. His underwear, the cages, just maybe even the hair. I don't know what that thing is. But yeah, and I'm really glad I found this, because it kind of makes the whole thing make a little more sense. Because after the tigers turned into butter, the protagonist used said butter on pancakes, which Monokuma does later, so it was really a direct reference to something and not just pulled out of somebody's ass, so to speak. Coming in at number 1 for Danganronpa references that you might have missed is Shirley Temple and Kodako Utsugi. Now, I know Kodako Utsugi kind of looks like an evil pink version of Hatsune Miku, and maybe that's a reference in and of itself, I don't know. The most striking similarities between Shirley and Kodako actually comes from their background and their relationship with their mother. Shirley Temple, at the age of 3, was submitted to a dance academy by her mother, who failed as a ballerina and decided to live through her daughter when it came to having her perform on stage. She was later recruited at the age of 3 to perform in 8 shorts known as baby burlesques, where she often played a prostitute and was put in some rather questionable circumstances along with her co-stars. The biggest similarity comes from the documentary about Shirley Temple's life, in which she described her mother telling her constantly to sparkle when she wasn't performing to her mother's liking, and she often equated this to her needing to earn her mother's love and appreciation, which is something that Kodako says almost word for word in her own diaries, and when referring about her mother to the protagonists, that she often says that her mother wanted her to sparkle on stage and sparkle for her. And that particular phrasing is very closely knit, not to mention the fact that it is very plain that Kotoko's mother not only put her on stage and put her with directors that were questionable in their own right, but the fact that she would do so even if her daughter protested, and that Kotoko basically learned to suck it up and stop crying, which is, when you look at Shirley Temple's early careers, and even her later movies, you can see some rather dubious choices by the directors, and you have to know that her mom was there the whole time saying, yeah, this is okay, sweetie, sparkle, do your best, which is exactly what happened to Kotoko. And even the age range kind of matches up when it comes to Shirley Temple's career as a young actress and Kotoko's career as a young actress. So, let me know what you think in the comments below. If there was something that I didn't talk about that you were yearning to hear about, feel free to add it. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye!